Capa Audio has been known for a long time for making these fantastic comfort straps, they call them. And Brian there has also been, well, designing and making headphones. And this series here is going to go talking about these that you can 3D print yourself, the Satyr 4s. So the Satyr 4s, you can just hop onto his site here under 3D models, and it'll take you to the bits out here. And these are the Satyr 4s. And what we're going to be doing is in this series, we're going to go and build them. We're actually also going to go over how to try to do something like driver matching. Yeah, if you have a full test rig and everything, it may be easy, but I'm going to show how you can use something just like a pretty standard USB microphone to be able to go and do that same kind of thing with a little bit more 3D printing. Is it going to be calibrated? Of course not. But we're going to go through and try to actually take care of that. So the first thing, though, is on here, I want to draw attention to just a couple little bits before I actually go into the build process itself. So there's a nice PDF that you can download and take a look at. And he also has a really, really nice video that goes through step by step actually doing the assembly here. In this, though, I do just kind of want to draw a little bit of attention to a few spots because, look, having made tutorials and everything myself, I know that you try to think of everything and then you have somebody go through and do it themselves and a number of other bits come up. He's been incredibly responsive on his Discord. So, for example, here are actually then the build of materials. So, for example, noting the 10 micron mesh. There's a PDF and everything of it that does, well, this still has some of the older information and everything here. But each one of these, go take a look at all this. Heat sink inserts, make sure that you get the, well, the specific ones that are given here. I'll go through that in the video as to exactly why that's a thing. But he's being wonderfully supportive. But I did think that it's going to be nice to have somebody else go through and take a look at this and be able to show you a few things. What I've got to point out to him here, for example, showing the inserts, there's a missing one right down there that we should go take a look at as well. So we're now going to hop on over to the bench and actually do the build.
First thing you're going to want to do is you are going to want to take care of putting in the threaded nuts. So you got a few places you want to put them in here. See if we can get this to focus. You've got in here, you've got the sides on this guy, and you've got 4 here. Now, before we do this, I want to just give a couple quick little words of advice. Don't ask how I learned this. Well, for example, you take a look at these 2 inserts here, and you can see that one is decidedly longer than the other. And if you use the one that is in fact too long, well, what you're going to end up seeing is they poke through. So he specifies them 3 by 5 by 4. Don't just say, oh yeah, I'm sure the ones I have are the right size, and use ones that are a little too long. Second thing is, of course, well, this is a soldering iron, so it's hot, so you shouldn't do something like take your finger and put it on here. All right, well, the other thing you shouldn't do is if you have one of these guys and you try to say, all right, I'm going to insert them in. Notice how the tip of the soldering iron goes well beyond actually this threaded nut insert. Don't use a tip like this. That will obviously go through and cause all sorts of damage. What I was able to find, you can use another tip. I was able to actually find my desoldering gun. Turns out, of course, well, it doesn't fit inside there, but it does fit on here very nicely to be able to use as a nice punch. So use these to actually use something to go and push these guys in, heat them up, push them in, and make sure you're using the right ones. So that's step 1, get all those in. Next step Brian has us do is take our driver. This is one I've matched here and ones I'm going to use and put it in here. Now the way he set it up is that he's got the lengthwise here and he's got the solder terminals there on the side. And it's a nice tight fit. So you want to get it in going nice and straight, and then once it goes, it should just nicely go and get all the way flush into place. All right, so that's the first one. All right, so my little jacks, they were the suggested replacement from Brian there, but they're not exactly the same. So he talks about on his how you can take the middle pin and it's longer, and he bends it on over to the left one. Because what he's really trying to do is he's trying to actually short out, he's trying to have the tip always be the positive, and then treat this as if it were a mono connector and have the ring and the sleeve be tied together. Now, you don't actually need that. He says that it works better on, a little more compatibility with different cables. But let's go and actually check this. And I wonder why I actually have to go and check this, the actual wiring of this, to make sure or see whether it's in the same order of the pins as his. All right, so I happen to have this nice little device here that lets me wire anything onto it. And so, it should be the case. Here, let me just kind of show you on this, that, okay, look, the ground one over here is the sleeve. This one in the middle here is the ring. And then this one here is the tip. So we can go, we can see here, let's get the sleeve. Oh, it's not that one. Okay, the sleeve is the middle one. All right. So then let's see the tip. Oh, the tip is the left one. So that makes this one here. So what we're going to want to do if we want to do his trick is short these two pins together. So this one here and this one here. Tie those together. Now we can't just bend the pin over. We're going to have to sort of snake a little piece of wire through and do something like this. Have a little longer bit of wire here and have that come on out. And that'll then be our black wire. Our red wire, the tip, is the one here in this case on the left. All right, so now we got to get the assembled connectors. I've got one all the way through and set up here. One thing to note, there's a heat set insert right here that you got to make sure you put in. I didn't have that in there before. Now, unlike Brian's setup here, using a little bit different wire, and it's actually going to be a lot easier, I found in the previous one, to not bother actually tinning it beforehand, but you're just really sort of feeding in here and then trying to get it to come on out the other side. So there's the one of them. And then the last one I did here, where's the black guy? There he is. Coming through, and we got him now. So then he just snugs himself on in. Give him a little push. Get him snap, and there we go. And then he uses a 3x8. I think this is an 8. Is this an 8? And close enough. Use a 3x8 little screw to then go and stick it on here and hold it in. So that's the only tweak I've done from his instructions on this. At this point, Brian shows us how to take the resistor, and he's using carbon. I'm using metal film. Apparently I'm a fancier kind of guy. And he makes a little S shape out of it. See if I can get that to focus. Makes a little S shape on here and tins it so he can put it on here. The one thing I want to draw everybody's attention to is that on the drivers here, we've got actually what looks like 4 connectors here. This is your positive. This is your negative. Don't hook up to these two. They're actually shorted together. So if you did something like hooked up to this one and to this one mistakenly, well, that would actually be then, well, putting a bit of a short there on the amplifier. Now, it wouldn't actually be a dead short because you'd have that 68 ohm resistor in there, but still not going to be a nice thing that you're doing. So that's then what it looks like following his directions there. Next up, the very important 10 micron. Make sure it's food grade. Yeah, 10 micron. And he talks about in the video cutting it out to be roughly the size of the outer here. So he's trimmed it down a little bit, and I've done the same. And then the idea is you just put it on here, line it up, give it a good little press, and it should snap into place. Next bit done. At this point, given that I've got different wires set up than his, I'm going to show this next step as well. So he says line things up here. If you notice, this is then the side with a little ridge cut out. It's not the flat side. So this side here with the connector, you want this guy next to this one. So this is going to be one of the two sides. The other one set up then, it's really then sort of doing then that mirror image, setting this up. And so again, the idea is you're going to solder it up and then just do a little flip. So make sure you've got them oriented correctly and you know what you're going to be doing on that. The other thing, and this is a little different than his setup here, you know, I've got these wires. These are obviously way too long now. He knows exactly how long these should be, and well, I don't. So now at this point here, the red one's going to go onto there. The black one's going to go onto here. you know, I want to have it so that I have, you know, I'm not putting any strain on this, but at the same time, I don't have lots of excess cable in here. So I'm just going to cut them off, call it about there. Then I will strip these and tin these and put them together. All right, I got one of these at the same stage as the next one in this video here. So the goal then at this point is just to say, all right, let's take your baffle. If you notice, you got the one side with this little bit here. That's going to go on the side with your resistor. So take probably the 8mm are the best here. I'd already pulled out 10s. And I did the first one in 10s, and so apparently this one's going to get done in 10s as well. So one of the things as you're doing this is always just make sure that everything threads in nice and smoothly before you end up trying to tighten any one of these down. So always good to get it finger tight first. And so you'll notice here you've nicely covered this over, and there's just a little end of your resistor sticking out there. All right, get it snugged down well enough so that nothing's going to be rattling, I suppose. All right, then get one of your long screws here, and what you're going to end up doing is using that spacer that you printed out and one of the long screws to actually get this set up. So now what you're really doing is you're going and you're putting it in here, but I want to make sure that my resistor is not going to get pinched. Like this. Kind of tuck him out of the way. Get the long screw up from the bottom. Get my spacer on top, so that sort of holds it in place. Now go and line this up. There. Now one of the things that you're going to notice at this point is that that T-bag material has gone underneath. So when you attempt to get the screws through, well, you're going to be banging into those. And he points that out in his video. So I found, by the way, if you don't have a set of like weird little dental picks, I got a set of 3 or 4 of them I've gotten somehow over the years. I think I actually got these from my dad. They make really, really good tools for some of this kind of stuff to then just be able to reach in and fish these things through. Now, of course, when you're doing it on camera, of course, things aren't going to line up and go in smoothly here. But this is then the idea to then go and get it so that all of them are nicely pulled through. Go. Last one, you know you want to do it. There we go. All of them are now nicely out. So with there, we can be all set. Our goal now is to create another one of these. All right, so this guy's now nicely assembled. Let's put him aside here. So, but this is where we left off. We've got the screw poked through. We've got this roughly assembled. So, get this part here. And key on this is if you notice that there are these little tabs. These little tabs here are then going to go on the bottom side. Then you're going to take this next part here. Going to get it so that this nice little ramp flange kind of thing is pushing in. Make sure that my wires are out of the way. And when you get it on here, you should be able to then go and give a little bit of a click into the driver somehow. Yeah, because we got this nice little clip mechanism here. So let's see what's holding that up. There we go, one snap, there we go. Now we're snapped in. All right, so now then with this here, we've got our last part. Now this here, well, that screw has decided to not line up and to be a little bit of a problem child. So let me get him all set. There we go, there we go. Now we're all lined up. Make sure everything is still snapped. Good. Put this guy on top. And that one that's nicely being held captive should be able to come in on the other side and find that home. There we go. maybe line it up right there. And once this guy's gotten just a little bit of a bite, go take the rest, come in from, say, the diagonal across, because once this is then set, you know everything is lined up. You'll feel, if you're not actually in here, you'll feel, of course, the grill starting to push away a little from you, as it's like, no, that's not my home, I'm not lined up. So I'm going to get it lined up. And there we go. Now we're biting in. Good. So we just do that for the next two. And we tighten it all up. And then we're assembled.